The year ended with all of us going to see The Iron Claw. And when Brandon came over to talk about it, we got lost in memory lane talking about The Wrestler. So to close out the month of January, Josiah is coming over and we are going to reminisce about that 2008 movie that it just paid such respect to the art form of professional wrestling and did it by shooting at actual independent wrestling events. Learned that from watching a documentary about the movie, so that was cool. But yeah, after that open rolls, after the shilling is out of the way, Josiah will be here and we will talk about Mickey Rourke's The Wrestler. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. I do believe this was rated R.
Yeah. Actually, hold up. I still got it up from,
Well,
I was looking up the cast.
yeah, the Iron Claw and The Wrestler both, I believe, were rated R.
Yep.
And that's the reason I chose to wear the rated R Superstar shirt, because...
Aside from it just being a good shirt.
Well, of course. I just meant due to its relevance.
Yes.
But yeah, The Wrestler, which came out or released in 2008. God, that feels so long ago.
Right.
But also, a very positive year for me. I got me a DD214. You know what that is?
No idea.
So anybody who was ever in the armed forces will know that a DD214 is. It is your honorable discharge paperwork.
Ah, that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, it's the basically you did what you said you were going to do paper.
Okay.
So
we appreciate you signing this piece of paper and signing your life away. You can now live your life.
while also living up to what you said. But anyway, yeah, 2008. It was a good year. It was
yeah, more than, was it 15, almost 16 years ago now?
oh my goodness, it slows me away. But yeah, so it had been a while since I watched The Wrestler, and due to all of us going to see The Iron Claw, I popped that movie back on, and it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
I always loved seeing, the Blue Meanie and Ron Killings, Ernest Miller, just the cameos throughout. Necro Butcher, obviously, but his segment was not nearly as pleasant, if you will. But that is how that goes when you shoot at CZW.
Hey, listen, does the job.
Oh, sure, and like I said, in every respect, wherever they recorded, whether it be Ring of Honor, a Bingo Hall, or CZW, they did it almost very. Well, not just that, but like they did it during an actual wrestling event, so it was kind of what's a guerrilla or whatever. It's the thing.
Segment.
Well, it's the gimmick where you don't actually go out of your way to get a filming permit, right? Where you just whatever that's called, I forget. It's the just doing it on the fly type thing.
Yeah.
And
I think it is guerrilla.
I think it does that feels right, but it's the idea of like just making it as real as possible, because it legitimately had wrestling fans there. Authentic. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do what I can.
But yeah, the cast, man. So Mickey Rourke was
phenomenal casting for this.
Not only was he phenomenal, but this was like the thing that brought him back from obscurity almost.
Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah. I think that's right, because he basically, like, what he was in the movie is pretty much the situation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, except outside of being a wrestler.
Right, yeah, aside from that small detail.
Oh my goodness. Have you ever heard the stupid, in my opinion, stupid internet rumblings that Ric Flair said he was offered this role?
Oh, yeah.
There's no way.
I did see that.
There's
And
no
I don't believe
way.
it in the slightest.
So, that reminds me of something that Mr. Thomas said on the internet recently about Hulk Hogan getting dogged for things that he said, and he was like, oh, he's not the only wrestling idol that
lies profusely.
exactly, and is real bad. So I was like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with age. Maybe it's something to do with popularity. But yeah, I think both
Rob's
of
a
them are
mix of the two.
definitely. But yeah, but I was gonna say it's not just Mickey Rourke though, because like Evan Rachel Wood, Marissa Tomei, the cast.
Always love a Marissa Tomei appearance.
Oh my goodness,
I love that woman.
and she is quite revealing in this here performance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the first time I ever saw her was in A Different World, which was like, so it was filmed back in like the 90s, but like I saw it when I was like 10, because my dad introduced me to it.
Yeah, so you were what, 20-something?
Yeah, 20-something easily. And then I saw that, I'm like, oh wow, never thought I'd see those.
Yeah.
But yes, phenomenal actress though. Absolutely loved her in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. And her different approaches behind the two different characters he played, whether it was Cassidy the performer or Pam the person.
Yeah.
It just felt like it fit with the idea of both Robin and Randy the Ram, and how she and he both had that dual nature to their characters.
Exactly, that double identity, that second life, if you will.
Yeah. So, the store manager for the deli where Randy works, he is so condescending and ultra impolite, especially to the guy he calls Robin or Randy the Ram.
Yeah.
Just talking about tights and other insulting things toward the idea of wrestling, and I
say just insulting the profession, and as a wrestling fan, I'm like, so this is just.
Well, to me, it's like he almost gave me that Napoleon complex kind of idea.
Yeah.
Now he wasn't ultra short, but he's just the person who feels as
he's
though
short-sighted.
I like that, but he just felt like he's being a dick just to be a dick. Like there was no
rhyme or reason. There was no justification.
Yeah,
for
nothing prompted his bad nature. He just seemed like that's who he was.
Yeah.
And you'll have that sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes that's
like,
just how people are.
I can remember this this time that a supervisor got brought in out of nowhere, and he doesn't introduce himself. He just walks in. He just starts trying to change things, and I'm like you don't even know anything about this place, and you think you're changing things for the better, but nah, you're
actually making things much worse.
Absolutely. And so that's, I don't know, it's just something that stood out to me, the idea of like being bad for the sake of it, if you will.
Yeah, being bad for no rhyme or reason.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But to the contrary, there's this I don't want to go so far as to say drug dealer, but there's this character who hooks up the wrestlers with
their drugs.
Appearance enhancers, I will call them. And he Mr. Appearance Enhancer was awfully kind to Randy when he was short with the dollar bills. He was like, "Oh, you're good for it. I know you're
good for it. You'll get it back to me."
Yeah. No hot dogs and handshakes for this.
It's not like I won't find you later. So.
Oh my goodness. So I have to rewind back to before the movie even started. So
from
the credit section,
yeah.
I normally am very anti just random junk popping on the screen. and I just prefer to get straight to the film. But I felt like what they did with the lead up to the movie beginning was actually beneficial, because what it did for the viewer was it set up the world that Randy inhabited by being a top guy and showing off how he had his own video game and was on magazine covers. He was the top guy. Basically, you could see the correlations between him and Dusty, him and Rick, him and Hogan. He was basically an amalgamation of every top guy from, let's say, 79 to like 89 probably.
Yeah, maybe early 90s.
Definitely, yeah. And so I just thought that was a wise decision because of how that it set up who Randy was.
And how big he was, and for the people that lived through it like yourself.
Absolutely.
You got that nostalgia pop.
Oh, it was...
Oh my God, I remember these magazines. I remember this film.
Yeah, and you could just see the different homages that they were presenting, basically, and I just thought that was fun. Oh, and the action figure of Randy that was
I love that.
That was on his dash.
Yeah.
That he ended up giving to Cassie to give to her son. It was another one of those things where it's presenting both Randy and the film in a realistic, a believable fashion, which is what made it so.
Really helped the film stand out on its own, just like how real it felt the whole time.
And the subtleties of the heart attack was something that, because oftentimes in media, heart attacks or almost any physical ailment is treated so over the top, whereas this was the most
subtle.
Oh, it was, and he just wakes up in the hospital alone, and it's like, oh my goodness, and all he cares about is getting back. He wouldn't gotta get in the ring. It's like,
get back in the ring.
What are you talking about? You might not be living. Oh my goodness. So I have to talk about something a couple of things I extremely dislike, but not for what they were, but for how they made me feel. Basically, we had a whole bunch of sad Virgils in that fan fest, and it was just like, oh, that hurts to see the bad times, the hard times that everybody's dealing with here, the struggle. Oh my goodness! And then when he gets Randy gets recognized behind the deli counter as being, a tip top all timer, and the guy basically laughs at it, so he ends up cutting himself. I'm not even sure I've never fully understood if it was an accident that occurred or he was willing to cut himself just to get out of that situation. Because in the wrestling sense, I would totally believe that he cut himself on purpose just to get out of there.
Yeah, just gave to himself.
Yeah, but in both of those cases, they were awfully emotional. But emotion is one thing that this movie was great at hitting upon, because when it came to his estranged relationship with his daughter, and then furthermore, so she's willing to give him another chance, and then he blows her off to party it up and try and get another alimony.
Classic bad decision.
Well, yeah, classic wrestler too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Wrestler on one. Ric Flair, notorious for his 15 and a half wives.
But the craziest thing to me is, given all of the pain, the agony, the sadness, I still couldn't give this thing less than a 5 out of 5. It was beautifully tragic with how it executed all of the hard times. And speaking of Ric Flair, I'm telling you, if he had his choice, I guarantee he'd get the Randy the Ram send off. So I think
he's tried 3 times since he actually got the send off.
I'm telling you, I think that if he could have Sting do the I can't hit a top rope move, toss me off and have the death.
If he can land without killing himself.
No, what I mean is, I think he wants to die in the ring.
Oh my God! Listen. Yes, but I know Tony Khan's not dumb enough to let him.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that scene where Ernest Miller, Bob, the Ayatollah, is like, oh, let's just go home. They've had enough, and he's like, no, I'm going up to get the Ram Jam. I'm like, oh, he's checking out tonight.
Jam. I'm like, oh, Like, no, when he went up top, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. He's
Yeah,
gonna die.
exactly. Well,
Absolutely.
and also I think that him seeing that Pam walked away
Mhm.
was him saying, okay, if she's not willing to wait, if she's not willing to stick around, then I'm not gonna stick around, and I'm not gonna wait.
That was that visual cue.
Exactly.
That you needed.
So, what was your overall takeaway, like score wise? Like I said,
Score wise, definitely 5. It was not even a question.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I threw out. There was another movie I watched recently where I was so happy. I won't spoil what it was because it'll come
In the future.
next month. But I was watching throughout and I was like, oh, I think this character's gonna die. Then they don't die, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna give this thing a spectacular. And then they die almost immediately. Like while I'm writing, they're
He's
not
like,
gonna die.
Mid sentence.
Mid sentence, I scratched out and said 5 out of 5 because they swerved me, and I was like, I was ready. I was happy to be proven wrong,
Yeah.
and because I didn't want to be right. And so sometimes
He was fighting for everything. That's like, as long as I'm not right, I'm like, yes, I subverted my expectations.
but yeah, so it really is a great movie.
Yes,
I
100% recommend it.
The funny thing to me is I think that the Iron Claw is actually more emotionally powerful due to knowing all of the events are actual, you know,
Real
based
life
on
thing.
people.
Yeah, I'm about to say
Whereas-
this is based off of reality.
Whereas this is kind of a
Pure-
hodgepodge of
Yeah.
a bunch of people's lives thrown together.
I'm about to say it's very similar to, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's this movie called the Five Heartbeats, and it's not technically like based off any one Motown group, but it's like some amalgamation of like the Dells and the Temptations and all these other groups and like their rise and fall and like how drugs and money and group breaking up stuff
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
affects it. And like, oh, okay, that's Temptations. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah, a little piece of this, a little piece of that. Yeah.
little column A, little column B.
Yeah, I like it. No, I hadn't heard of it, but I think that's a wise way to go about it because you could do that with almost every genre
Mm-hmm.
because they all have those tropes
Yeah.
that you could be like, oh, we got a little bit of Motley Crue over here, a little bit of
all falls together.
Exactly,
A little
fits-
bit of Def Leppard.
yeah. I think that's a great analogy for what this film does. Is it takes pieces of people's lives and molds them together.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining me for this trip down memory lane for The Wrestler.
Happy to do so. Love that movie. I'm gonna probably watch it again tonight.
Oh, that's what's up. And again, thank you for all of your help when it comes to the channel. I mean, you're invaluable, sir.
Hey, I try. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, anytime you need me, hit me up. I'm always more than happy to be here.
Thank you and enjoy.
Take care, guys.